Melk was one of more than 40 subcamps of Mauthausen, which were spread all over Austria. All prisoners were committed via main camp Mauthausen. There, the prisoners were subjected to a deeply humiliating admission procedure. The dehumanization of the prisoners was a central part of the use of violence in the concentration camp system. Upon arrival, the prisoners had to strip naked in the open air and often had to hold out for hours despite cold weather. They were shaved all over their bodies, deloused with burning substances, and subjected to constant physical punishment and verbal humiliation by the SS and prisoner functionaries. The prisoners were robbed of a central part of their identity. Instead of their names, they were assigned a prisoner number. In addition, they had to sew a so-called triangle onto their striped prisoner clothing, which gave the SS information about the prisoner's category of imprisonment and nationality. The number was also noted on a bracelet that every prisoner had to wear. The picture shows the patch of the former Melk-inmate Paul Scherer. The F in the triangle stands for France. The system of prisoner triangles reflects many aspects of the exclusion of certain groups of people from the so-called National Socialist Volksgemeinschaft. The red triangle, for example, marked political opponents of the Nazi regime, so-called Schutzhäftlinge or political prisoners. They were brought to the camp by police order without a court judgment. So-called professional criminals wore green triangles. These were people with several previous convictions who were not released after serving a regular prison sentence, but were transferred to the camp. Homosexuals who wore a pink triangle in the concentration camp were also excluded from society. So-called Bible researchers, the Jehovah's Witnesses, were excluded on religious grounds with the purple triangle. So-called asocial people, such as unemployed people or people who refused to work or were alcoholics, but often also Roma and Sinti, were given a black triangle. Spanish prisoners, also called Red Spaniards or Republican Spaniards, wore blue triangles. Exclusion on a racial grounds mainly affected people of Jewish origin, whose respective triangles were combined with a yellow star. A particularly perfidious aspect of the forced prisoner society was the system of prisoner functionaries. The camp SS selected certain prisoners, mostly so-called criminal prisoners with green triangles, and promised them certain privileges, such as more food or better clothing. In return, they had to act as an extended arm of the SS inside the camp or during work assignments. In the protective custody camp, these prisoners functionaries took over many administrative tasks and had to maintain order in the prisoners' blocks, if necessary also by force. The drawing by David Oller shows such a violent scene. During forced labor, for example in the tunnels as shown in this picture, the capos had to constantly drive their fellow prisoners to even more work, with sticks, rods or other instruments. For the mostly extremely weakened prisoners, this often meant a death sentence. But where did this weakening of so many inmates come from? We will pursue this question in the next part of our tour. We will focus on questions of accommodation and nutrition in the Melk camp, as well as the prisoners' struggle for survival. For this purpose, we will visit the so-called Object 10, which still shows traces of the concentration camp history.